There's a moment when a thought crosses your mind, and you immediately know it shouldn't be there. So you stop it, you push it away, because you believe you're in control. But what if that's not true? What if the part of you that notices something is wrong isn't the part that decides what happens next? Because there was a man who didn't just have those thoughts, he acted on them. And the most disturbing part, he understood exactly what he was doing. His name was Edmund Kemper. And what makes his case so disturbing is not just what he did, it's how he thought about it. Kemper wasn't confused. He wasn't disconnected from reality. He wasn't even particularly emotional. He was aware, completely aware. He could explain his behavior better than the professionals trying to understand him. And that creates a problem. Because if someone like him exists, then our assumptions about how the mind works might not be as reliable as we think. Kemper didn't fit the image people expected. He was articulate, measured, calm, standing at 6'9", with an IQ of 145. He wasn't someone you'd overlook, but he also wasn't someone you'd fear. People described him as polite, easy to talk to, even likable. And that contradiction is where the discomfort begins, because we rely on signals to detect danger. Tone of voice, body language, behavior, and Kemper had learned how to control all of them perfectly. To understand how that happened, you have to go back to a childhood that was structured around rejection. His mother saw him as a problem early on, not because of what he had done, but because of what she believed he could become. She locked him in the basement at night, separated him from the rest of the family, told him repeatedly that something was wrong with him. And over time, that kind of environment does something specific. It doesn't just create anger. It creates distance. Distance between emotion and response, between thought and consequence. He began to detach, not just from others, but from himself. It started in ways that didn't seem significant at first. Small acts, controlled acts, things that allowed him to explore without interruption. There was no immediate guilt, no strong emotional reaction, just curiosity. And that's what made it dangerous, because curiosity doesn't stop on its own. It escalates, and eventually it did. At the age of 15, Kemper committed his first killings, not out of panic, not out of immediate rage, but out of a desire to understand something he couldn't explain. And even after that, the awareness remained. After those early crimes, he was sent to a psychiatric institution, a place designed to evaluate and rehabilitate. But for Kemper, it became something else. A classroom. He learned how the system worked, how people were assessed, what normal looked like on paper, and more importantly, how to replicate it. He became so trusted that he was allowed to assist in administering tests. The same test mentee, evaluate him. And that's where the real shift happened. He didn't just understand himself anymore. He understood everyone else. When he was eventually released, he didn't isolate himself. He integrated. He became social, friendly, approachable. He spent time with police officers, listened to conversations, observed behavior. You are blended in. And this wasn't accidental. It was intentional. Because when you understand how people perceive safety, you can recreate it. And once people feel safe, they stop looking deeper. Kemper later described his internal state in a way that still unsettles psychologists. He didn't describe losing control. He described division. Two parts. One that understood what was happening, and an other that acted. And both parts were aware of each other. There was no blackout, no confusion, just separation. And that separation allowed him to do something most people can't imagine: act without emotional interference. For Kemper, this wasn't driven by chaos. It was driven by control, a need to define outcomes, to decide how things ended. And that need was rooted in something much earlier, a life where control didn't exist, where decisions were made for him, where identity was assigned, instead of developed. So he created his own system, his own logic, and within that system, everything made sense. Eventually, everything led back to one place. The origin, his mother. When he killed her, the pattern ended. Not because he was caught, not because he felt remorse, but because the purpose was gone. And shortly after, he turned himself in, not out of guilt, but because there was nothing left to do. We like to believe something very simple, that understanding ourselves makes us better. That awareness creates control. That intelligence protects us. But Kemper challenges all of that because, in his case, awareness didn't stop the behavior. It refined it, improved it, made it more effective. And that leads to a question that doesn't have a comfortable answer. If someone can understand their own darkness and still choose to act on it, then what exactly is control? The most dangerous person isn't the one who loses control. It's the one who never needed to.